Tonight on NewsWatch, lawmakers look for a way to reopen the government. More on the shutdown showdown that has Washington and the world on edge. Plus, a massive cyclone strikes India, how CBN disaster relief teams are stepping in to help the communities. And a look at why some say hostility is growing and religious liberty is being attacked across America. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Martin. President Obama has postponed a meeting with congressional leaders. Senators say they need more time to negotiate an end to the 2-week-old federal shutdown, just 3 days away from a possible default on U.S. debt. The stakes are getting higher. And as John Waggy explains in tonight's Focus Report, Democrats added a new wrinkle, trying to roll back the sequester spending freeze.
Republicans are no longer pushing to defund or change Obamacare, but now Democrats are trying to end the automatic sequester spending cuts as part of any deal.
So the plan would be open up the government immediately for a period of time before the sequester hits, and then have serious discussions where we might be able to undo the sequester.
If you break the spending caps, you're not going to get any Republicans in the Senate.
Republicans say undoing the sequester cuts would increase spending, a major step in the wrong direction. Meanwhile, the American people's patience is wearing thin over the politics of the shutdown. Hundreds of protesters calling themselves the Million Vet March removed barricades at several memorials and then marched them over to the gates of the White House.
There's no middle ground, it seems like. That's the trouble. So the left hand doesn't want to talk to the right hand.
Fire them all.
A group of truckers also slowed down traffic around the Washington Beltway to protest against the Capitol's heavy hand.
I can't afford this, but I got to do it. I got to do it for me, my family, and the country.
We don't need the feds running every little burg here between here and California. They can run their own life.
Some state governors are reopening several national parks and monuments with state money, among them the Grand Canyon and Lady Liberty.
The Statue of Liberty is open, Ronnie.
We are committed, but we wish that the feds would move along and do their job.
Polls show that voters are angry at both parties for the protracted shutdown, and that means an agreement may come soon. But neither the White House nor their Republican opponents can predict what kind of fallout they'll see in election year 2014. John Waggy, CBN News.
Many investors are eagerly awaiting a resolution to the battle over the nation's debt. Today, Wall Street rose on word of new optimism about a deal. The Dow closed at 15,302. And now for more on how the crisis in Washington is affecting the rest of the world, we turn to Lauren Adler from the Committee for a Responsible Government. Lauren, we've heard warnings from the World Bank and IMF over the consequences for the global economy if the U.S. government doesn't raise the debt ceiling by Thursday. If no deal is reached, what could happen?
So I think we're facing a number of effects, some of which are unknown. I think part of the problem here is that you're dealing with risks. So if the debt ceiling is not raised, there is a chance that by October 17th, we're near out of money. I think it's akin to if you've maxed out all your credit cards at this point and now you've used up all the money in your bank account and now you're down to the money in your wallet. You've got a few more days you can buy there, but at some point starting next week probably we'll start missing payments to people across the country, and that's something that will make bondholders afraid, and that can have very negative repercussions in the global economy, which is what IMF and World Bank and all of those folks are talking about here. And I think there's also just the general gist here of that this continued dysfunction over government shutdowns and debates over whether we're going to pay our bills or not, it makes us a bit of a laughingstock to the world, and that's sort of where you see all this volatility in stocks going up. But I think, the news today is that there's maybe a deal that's close at hand, which is, I think, why we're seeing hopefully stocks turn for the better right now.
Well, Lauren, China is America's largest creditor. Their state media is calling on the country to actually de-Americanize and for a new world order. Is there a real danger of that?
I don't think there's any real danger of that in the near future. At the time being, we are still the best horse in the glue factory. People still want to invest in America, and as dysfunctional as Congress may be, Europe isn't exactly doing all that well right now. Japan is not doing that great either, and China is probably a good 20 years away from being a real threat in this sense. You're correct that China and Japan both are, two of our largest creditors, but they're still buying because at the end of the day, I think people have become accustomed to the fact that at 11:59 p.m. we tend to get things done and will actually pay our bills. And I still feel very confident that we will not actually go past the X date, or call it what you will, in terms of, and we will continue to make all of the payments to our creditors and to our citizens, our Social Security beneficiaries, Medicare doctors, and so forth.
And Lauren, quickly, there seems to be some progress being made in Washington today, like you've said. Is this really a case where both sides need to compromise, or in the end, is one side going to give in to the demands of the other?
I most definitely think that both sides need to compromise. I think our position right now is that we need to stop the madness, stop talking about government shutdowns and debt limits, and we need to start real negotiations about putting our debt on a downward sustainable path. Right now we have entitlement spending going up and up with low revenues and, more to the point, a horrific tax code that is a mess. We need to fix that, and I think all of the deals being discussed right now include some sort of process to make the two parties get together and have a conference and actually try to negotiate and work out some of these issues. Okay. That's our hope, is that something along those lines will happen, and that's where, whether it's December 15th, January 15th, February 15th, the dates keep on changing on us, but one or the other, that both sides will get together and address the actual problems facing this country.
All right. Lauren, thanks for your insights.
Thank you.
In other news, Syria today became an official member of the United Nations Convention banning chemical weapons, making it the 190th country to do so. The move comes as international inspectors are working to destroy the chemical weapons stockpile of the Assad regime. Those inspectors are calling for ceasefires between rebel fighters and government forces. The head of the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons says fighting is preventing inspectors from reaching weapons sites in some areas, and this is the first time the group has worked in a war zone. And they're doing so on a pretty quick deadline. All chemical weapons in Syria are supposed to be destroyed by mid-2014. The Israeli military has uncovered a massive secret tunnel. They believe the group Hamas would have used it to carry out major terror attacks against Israeli soldiers or civilians. If they had, it wouldn't be the first time Hamas relied on an intricate tunnel system. Julie Stahl has the story from Jerusalem.
The tunnel was more than a mile long and took more than a year to build, the IDF said. It was buried about 60 feet underground as it ran under the border fence from Gaza to an Israeli community. And it had electricity and a phone line.
The tunnel is extremely advanced and well prepared. Massive amounts of concrete and cement have been used to build this tunnel. Our engineers calculate that they used more than 500 tons of cement only.
Terrorists might have used the tunnel to strike or kidnap Israeli soldiers, or to get terrorists into Israel to attack civilians in communities near the border. The entrance of the tunnel was near a kindergarten, and some sources said that could have been one of the targets of the terrorists. Hamas used a tunnel like this one to attack Israeli soldiers in 2006, killing 2 and abducting a 3rd, Gilad Shalit. Shalit was held captive in Gaza for more than 5 years, and Israel exchanged more than 1,000 prisoners to obtain his release. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu acknowledged an upsurge in terror attacks in recent weeks, but praised the military for finding the tunnel.
It is part of our policy, an aggressive policy against terror in terms of thwarting intelligence, initiated and responsive operations such as Operation Pillar of Defense. The combination of all these activities and our policies brought forth the quietest year in more than a decade.
Israel says it holds Hamas responsible for any terror from Gaza. It also said it assumes there are more tunnels out there. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
For more insight on what's going on in Israel, make sure you check out our weekly show and blog, Jerusalem Dateline. You can find that at our website, cbnnews.com. The leader of the Afghan Taliban is issuing a warning to President Hamid Karzai. Mullah Mohammed Omar says his followers will continue fighting if the government in Kabul signs a security deal with the U.S. Over the weekend, Karzai and U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry made progress on a deal that would allow U.S. troops to stay in Afghanistan after 2014. It would also allow the U.S. to lease several military bases around the country. Recovery efforts are underway tonight after a massive cyclone hit India this weekend. It was larger than Hurricane Katrina and stronger than Superstorm Sandy. But thanks to a huge evacuation effort, the death toll is low so far. Hundreds of thousands are now homeless, and the devastation is massive. CBN disaster relief teams are on the ground in eastern India, bringing relief to those in need. Gary Lane has the story.
The storm left a trail of destruction in its wake. Torrential rains left many villages underwater. Mud and straw huts were leveled. The loss of life was minimal. So far, with only 17 deaths reported. Fewer people died in this storm than during the last major cyclone that hit the area in 1999. That's because government officials learned lessons from the past. This time, nearly 1 million people were evacuated from the area several days before Phelan hit. Power outages have isolated many towns. Crippled communications are making rescues difficult.
Primary concern at the moment is to look for survivors. Communication has been crippled.
Not much is left of the small coastal fishing village of Padampeta. Fishing boats were tossed into houses like unwanted play toys. This woman, Buchi Ama, says when she returned to the village from a local shelter, she found her home had been destroyed. I started crying, she said. I have nothing to eat but puffed rice. The cyclone wiped out tens of thousands of acres of crops. Many agricultural areas are now unusable, flooded with seawater. The worst effects of Cyclone Phelan will be felt in the days ahead. Homeless and hungry, tens of thousands of Indians will need help. The CBN India Disaster Relief Team is on the ground in Gopalpur, where the cyclone made landfall. They're serving up hot meals to victims and relief workers. Medical clinics are now operational.
Many people who came with the waterborne skin diseases and diarrhea and all those communicable diseases we have found, and we have given the necessary medicine to those people.
This woman says her house was damaged when floodwaters came into her village. She was frightened, but says God saved her. I had an operation recently, she said, so these medicines are a lot of use to me. I was suffering from a headache and gastric problems. They gave me medicines for all of this. She thanks CBN for the food and medicine she received. Tarpaulin sheets are also being provided to people whose roofs have been damaged. Our CBN disaster relief team says much more help will be needed as Indians try to recover in the days ahead. Gary Lane, CBN News.
Coming up, why Senator Ted Cruz says many on the left are scared of his message.
In 2008, my husband Gary departed for heaven. I was still grieving. And then to find out I had cancer, I began praying, God, how do I do this? Where do I do this? Cancer Treatment Centers of America was the place. Dr. Neelam outlined a plan that would take care of my mind and my body, and she prayed with me.
For Bible-believing Christians, we're able to pray with them in a much deeper way as they begin to really rely upon their faith.
At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we believe in the power of faith and prayer as indispensable allies in the fight against complex and advanced stage cancer.
I'm back in Telluride on the mountain skiing. I feel strong and healthy.
Advanced medicine and technology.
And I am a survivor.
The warm embrace of the spirit and the power of prayer.
These are happy tears.
Please go to cancercenter.com/faith. Appointments available now. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
What's next for the Republican Party? That's one of the main issues some conservative activists took on this weekend in Washington. Big names from across the GOP gathered for the Values Voters Summit. David Brody was there, and he brings us this report.
The conservatives' latest rock star took center stage to the sound of applause and cheers from Values voters, and then he took on a number of hecklers who repeatedly tried to interrupt his speech.
Thank you, sir, for being here. Ma'am, thank you for being here.
That's what happens when you lead the fight against President Obama's agenda, like Cruz has done since hitting Washington less than a year ago. After his speech, he told CBN News the Democratic Party planted those critics in the audience.
Do you believe that was an orchestrated event?
Oh, I think it clearly was. And you know, David, look, I actually am encouraged by that, as strange as that sounds. I'm encouraged by that because it shows that they are afraid. They're afraid of the thousands of men and women who were gathered there. They're afraid of the American people hearing the truth, and so they want to disrupt it.
But nothing disrupted the voting process here, and when the straw poll results came out, Cruz finished first by a mile. Taking a surprising second was Dr. Ben Carson, a frequent critic of Obamacare, who pushed it even further in front of this friendly values crowd.
Obamacare is really, I think, the worst thing that has happened in this nation since slavery.
The GOP is currently fighting about how to win as a party. The big question, whether to go more conservative or track to the middle. Senator Marco Rubio tells CBN News the fight over Obamacare has revealed a weakness for Republicans.
One of the reasons that's standing in the way of us doing better is that while people see Republicans fighting against certain things, they're not quite sure sometimes who we're fighting for, who we're fighting on behalf of.
So while Ted Cruz plays to standing ovations, some within his own party question whether the Obamacare fight was really worth it.
We gave the Democrats one incredibly early Christmas gift.
Former presidential candidate Mike Huckabee says shutting down the government allowed Democrats to blame Republicans for the stalemate instead of playing defense over the rollout of Obamacare.
I'm not going to fault Ted. He believed what he was doing was going to be helpful. But at the end of the day, you look and you ask, are we any closer to defunding Obamacare or ridding ourselves of it than we were? The answer is no.
Those strategy differences could be a preview of coming attractions in a 2016 presidential race, because Huckabee told us he's thinking about running.
Am I thinking about it? Am I talking to people about it? Yeah, that'd be fair to say.
It's also on the mind of Senator Rand Paul, who spoke to the crowd and also talked to CBN News about a private meeting with evangelical leaders.
To me, it's very important that we talk to people of faith. This country is founded by people of faith, and that we hear from them and that they have influence in government.
For now, though, all eyes are on Ted Cruz. While a presidential run could be in the cards, he's got his hands full right now, taking on the Obama administration and all those liberal critics. It leaves him doing one simple thing: praying.
Where do you see God in all of this fight that's going on in your life right now?
Well, David, you know, at every stage, my prayer to God is that His will be done, and as it will be.
All we can do now is wait for the rest of the story. David Brody, CBN News, Washington.
For more from David, make sure you check out his blog and weekly show, The Brody File. Both are at our website, cbnnews.com. Up next, how some are responding to what they say is growing hostility against Christians across the country.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes and Google Play now.
Stop struggling with heavy hoses that are kinked and deliver little or no water, or worse, break. Introducing the incredible flexible hose. Turn the water on and it expands up to 3 times its original length, so you can easily guide it anywhere you need without tangling. When you turn the water off, as it drains, the hose retracts back to its original shape. Standard rubber hoses can weigh between 8 and 12 pounds, but a 25-foot flexible hose weighs less than a pound. The flexible hose is so compact and lightweight, a child can manage a 75-foot hose easily. The flexible hose will never kink and is guaranteed to take the mess out of watering your lawn and plants. So washing your windows or spraying off your gutters has never been easier. The flexible hose is made of a tough double wall construction that is designed to bend and stretch but never kink.
Flexible hose is designed like a fire hose for speed, storage, and strength to last a really long time.
Call or visit FlexibleHose.com to order the incredible flexible hose for only $19.95. Call right now and we will include a 7-way adjustable spray nozzle free. You can choose a full action spray, a gentle mist, a powerful jet, a vertical mist, flat spray, a cone spray, or a soaker setting. So stop coiling your hose with bulky devices. Flexible hose automatically retracts in seconds and weighs less than 1 pound. In fact, a 75-foot hose easily fits in a small bucket and stores away neatly in a drawer. Flexible hose saves you precious space on boats and is perfectly portable for RVs. But wait, order today and we'll give you a second flexible hose system free. Just pay separate processing and handling. That's 2 flexible hoses and 2 7-way adjustable spray nozzles, a $40 value, all for only $19.95. This offer is not available in any store. Order now.
To order flexible hose and take advantage of this amazing double offer, call 1-800-769-3384 or go to flexiblehose.com. Remember, this offer is not available in stores, so call now.
Some religious liberty advocates say cases of hostility against religion are growing in America. In tonight's Focus Report, Paul Strand speaks with some of the people who've personally experienced antagonism against their religious beliefs.
Unveiled at this weekend's Values Voter Summit, the new survey from the Family Research Council and Liberty Institute shows a frightening trend. Last year's survey documented 600 cases of religious hostility, and this year,
this survey that we're releasing right now is almost 1,200. So we've almost doubled in just 1 year.
One such case, college student Audrey Jarvis, who wears a cross, well, religiously, was asked twice to take it off or at least hide it at a student orientation.
My supervisor came up to me out of nowhere and asked me to remove my cross necklace because he thought that it would be offensive to incoming freshmen.
Jarvis received an apology from her college, but couldn't forget how hurtful the man was who found her cross so objectionable.
I think he was just kind of ignorant to the fact that his words could offend me in attempting to not offend somebody else.
Air Force Senior Master Sergeant Philip Monk says he got in trouble with his lesbian commanding officer when she ordered him to answer how he felt about gay marriage.
This is about religious freedom because I expressly stated that I had a religious conviction that wouldn't allow me to answer the question the way it was posed to me.
Craig James was 1 hour into a new job as a Fox Sports analyst when he was booted off the air. James and Liberty Institute insist it was because a top network manager disapproved of a statement James made about gay marriage 15 months before in a political debate.
They knew who I was, what I stood for, and I'm being punished. I was fired for my religious beliefs. This is not about me. It's not about Craig James. This is about an American who had a job that someone came back, a big corporation, and said, hey, we can't allow you on our network because of your belief and definition of what marriage is.
With some 1,200 cases like these documented in the new Religious Hostility Survey, Mateer says he's frightened for his country.
The threats are increasing at a dramatic rate, and this survey demonstrates that.
Matt Staver's Liberty Council also fights for the faithful.
What we're seeing is instead of religious liberty being protected as it is affirmed by the First Amendment, people of faith, particularly Christians, are now finding themselves the target of discrimination.
Sergeant Monk says now is when Christians facing hostility must hold steady, mostly for other believers.
They need to see us stand firm in our faith. And when they see that, I think we'll see a turn of events.
Mateer points out when believers fight back, they almost always win. So only by meekly accepting defeat will they let the enemies of religion triumph.
They've stated their objective is to remove God from our public life. Well, if we remain silent, then that's going to happen.
This survey certainly makes for scary reading because so many groups of Americans are attacked in it. Teachers, students, governments, businesses, senior citizens, all united by the fact that they face religious hostility in an America that seems ever more tolerant of this kind of intolerance. Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
Up next, an Ohio family celebrates as 2 generations graduate from college on the same day.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Finally tonight, leadership experts say the best way to lead is by example, and that's exactly what an Ohio mother is doing. This past weekend, Kimberly Thornhill graduated from college alongside her son Dexter. Both got their bachelor's degree, Kimberly in criminal justice and Dexter in business management. Kimberly is thrilled to have accomplished something she wanted her children to accomplish too.
It feels amazing. I couldn't have did it without her. I bet it feels very good.
Oh my God, it's never too late. Never too late. Knowledge is power. And it may just take us a little longer to read it over, but you'll get it.
Good for them. Lots of smiles there. Kimberly plans to attend law school and practice juvenile law. And Dexter plans to put his business degree to use by operating a chain of barbershops. Boy, that's great to see. Saw a lot of smiles there and some tears of joy. That's all for this edition of NewsWatch. Remember, you can email us your comments and questions at newswatch@cbn.com. We hope you'll join us next time.